Thanks so much, Maddie. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Kesley Anderson, and I'm going to walk us through a presentation, and then we'll go live into Design Space to build our project. So today's class is about making a gratitude jar. And this project is really a spot to place your thoughts on gratitude or thankfulness. We really are always, our goal as people on this earth is to be happy. And so I want to talk a little bit about how gratitude ties into that happiness. And I'm just going to take like a minute or two, and we'll get a little meditative, a little thoughtful, and then we'll go into the project. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And oh, Maddie, I don't think I can share my screen yet.
1 second. Let me make sure
Okay.
that you have access to that.
Okay. Oops. All right.
Should be good now.
Okay. So let me go ahead. I'm going to share my screen and get my presentation started here. All right. So today's class is gratefulness, and gratefulness is really experiencing every moment as a gift. So if we can appreciate the small things, the big things in life, we will find happiness, and the gratitude comes from, the happiness comes from a place of gratitude. So what I want to encourage you as we're heading into November, which is, I always find November as like my most month that I practice gratitude the most. I think that's partly because it's Thanksgiving for us in America and the States, and we are spending time with friends and family and just have a little bit more time to pause. So when you have an opportunity to practice gratitude, you will find that that gratefulness makes you happy. But sometimes we don't always know how to practice the gratitude. So I want to give you my 3 tips on practicing gratitude. And think of it like a stop sign. So every time you stop at your stop sign, when you're driving or in traffic or anything like that, it will give you a trigger reminder to pause and practice gratitude. So when you want to practice gratitude, think of it like a traffic light, as in stop, look, and go. So when you stop to look at life and of what's happening around you, you have a chance to see things in a different way. We are so busy, our lives, we're rushing from here and there, that we often miss opportunities to pause and practice gratitude. So when you can, take that moment to just stop. Stop thinking about your grocery list. Stop thinking about where you're going to go to next, what activity you need to take your kids to, planning your Thanksgiving dinner. Just take that moment in time and stop and pause and give yourself an opportunity to see what is rushing by you. And that's the second step, which is to look. So once you've paused, give yourself a chance to look. And looking involves opening all your senses. So it could be your sight, it could be a smell, it could be touch. It's just opening everything, yourself up to everything that is around you. And it's opening your heart to the opportunities that are around you. When you see those opportunities, they're an invitation for you to do something, for you to go. And whatever that moment offers you, that is your moment to go. And we all find that when we are able to go and have action on things that bring us gratitude, you will find your happiness level increase. This is one of my favorite quotes. David Steindrost is a speaker. He did a TED Talk that I really, a lot of this comes from his TED Talk that I listened to years ago. And I think about what he says about gratitude and how it ties in with our happiness, and how gratitude, we can employ the gratitude method and bring about change, and not just change in our own lives, but change in the lives of people that we come in contact. Could be as close as your family or coworkers, or just some random stranger you see, or even have a global impact. When you come from a place of gratitude, so this is my favorite quote of his: if you are grateful, you act out of a place of enough and not of a sense of scarcity. So when you practice gratitude and you're coming from a place of enough, you're thankful for what you do have, you're able to extend that gratitude to other people and extend that kindness to other people. Oops. So before we go on, we're just going to take 30 seconds, and I want you to take a moment in your day. I know you want to get to the project and learn about Cricut and everything like that, and this is going to help us do our project. So my next slide is a 30-second slide, and I just want you to take a moment and practice the stop, look, and go, and think about what you are grateful for. So I'm going to do it with you. So today we're going to make this jar, and in the jar you will be able to put notes about what your gratitude is or what you're thankful for. After doing my stop, look, and go, I looked at my desk and I saw my water bottle, my jar of water. And I have a group of ladies that we text with each other how much water we've consumed throughout the day. And we do it as a way to remind each other to hydrate, and so that we can stay healthy. But it's also a great way to get some motivation throughout the day. So my gratitude is my hydrate crew, and I'll be adding that to one of our projects today. And when we get into the project, I do have the project created already for you in Design Space, and we'll share a link to that project so you can just copy the link and go to the project. We will be working on a gratitude jar, and I'm using the Cricut matte brushed vinyl, but you can really use any type of vinyl you have handy. And because I'm using the brushed vinyl, I'll be using the strong grip transfer tape. And then I'm going to use some cardstock to make some labels and tags that can go in the jar for the gratitude, and tie it all up with a little ribbon. Then our second project will be a gratitude garland. Oh, sorry, these are the images we'll be using for the project today. And our second project is a gratitude garland. So I have a Pom Pom Garland I picked up at Michael's, and I'll be using the Cricut Felt Summer Sky Sampler, iron on vinyl. I'll be using my mini press and my easy pad. You can use a needle and thread or a hot glue gun, whatever you have handy. Now, after the class, if you want to reach out to me, you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, or on Facebook at Kesley.365. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing that now. And we do have in this class, we have the ability for Q&A. So if you have questions throughout the class as we're working on the project, go ahead and pop those into the Q&A. I have Anita and Queenie here to help answer any of those questions for you. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Now, Anita has thankfully dropped the links to the projects in the chat. So if you were to click on one of the links, and I would suggest to click on the Thankful Jar project design first, So when you click on that link, it will take you to a website. It'll take you to the Cricut website. And let me show you what that looks like. So I'm going to share my screen again. So we'll share my screen again. Here we go. It will bring you to a website like this. And all you need to do is say, I agree to the Cricut terms. And then you open the app. And this will open up an additional design space on your desktop or laptop. And there we go. Now, if you are joining from a mobile device, you need to do a, when you join from the mobile device, you need to do a search for Thankful Jar, and that project should come up. So go ahead and hit customize to make this project. So we customize, there we go. And it's going to open this onto a fresh canvas for you. If you already had a project you were working with in Design Space, it would ask you if you'd like to replace that project or not. Now, if you, what I've done is I've gone ahead and used some tags and created, I'm going to create like a little notebook that I can attach to my jar. So my white tags here, I'm just going to cut those out of 12 by 12 card, a sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I think we're viewing your internet browser screen still.
Oh, sorry. Let me switch over to my, there we go. Let me switch over to Design Space. You're right. I switched it around. Okay. So here is my project open in my Design Space. On the right-hand side, you'll see a variety of labels. Now these I've already attached them and sized them for my project. You can always resize or change anything in a project once you bring it onto your Design Space. It will cut at, your Cricut will cut as wide as 11.5 inches. So I've gone ahead and kind of maximized the size of my tags. And then I'm going to cut out of a craft board these larger brown thankful tags. And I'm adding the design thankful out of the brushed vinyl. And I will cut out this thankful from the brushed vinyl as well. Now, if you're wondering how I got from these three different pieces, the flourish, the word thankful, and the lines, let me show you how I did that. So first I went into the Cricut Access and I pulled up these images. Now, if you want to, you can just go to the project or you can use the images. And build it yourself in case you want to do a different word other than thankful, like if you wanted to do gratitude or grateful or happy thoughts or anything like that, you can always change up that word thankful with something else. So what I did first was I wanted to decide how large I wanted my design to be. And I did make this the right size. So my jar is a larger jar. So my design will be 3.5 inches. So first I took the line and I needed to rotate the line so that it would go horizontal. So to do that, I just rotated my line 90 degrees. And then I made the height of my design 3.5 inches, which is actually the width, but bear with me on that. And then I'm going to duplicate that because I want to have two of those lines, one on the top of the word thankful and one on the bottom. So I duplicate those lines. Then I'm going to add my thankful in the middle there, and I want to change that width to 3.5 inches. So that's 3.5 inches. My line should be 3.5 inches, and I'm going to align those center horizontal. So now everything lines up perfectly. The next thing was to add the flourish to the line. So I'm just going to bring that flourish down and I'll duplicate that. Now I use my keyboard since I am working on a desktop. I use my keyboard and I say Control C, which is Control Copy, and then Control V, which is Control Paste. Again, you see that this is the same direction as the one on the bottom, and we want to flip it so it will line up with the top of the line. And to do that, I just use the flip icon, and I think it's flip vertical. We'll flip it to that side. So that's going to go right on the top of the line. Now, again, I want to select all those layers and align those center horizontal. My flourish may be a little bit big, so I'm just going to go back in and change the width of those to 3.5 inches so that they're the same width as my lines and the word thankful. So I collect all those and I'll align center horizontal. Great, looking good. Now, I probably want to give a little bit of even space on the top of the word thankful and the bottom of the word thankful. So let me show you how I do that. With these 3 layers selected, the lines and the word thankful, both lines, then I go back to align and I say distribute vertically. And what that will do is it places that word thankful in between the 2 lines, the same proportionate distance. And then I can just bring back down my flourishes. And I do want the flourishes to touch on those lines. So let me just bring him down just a little bit more. There you go, just a smidge closer. There we go. And then I'm going to do that last align center horizontal. So I make sure everything's lined up in the middle. And once I have everything designed, I attach that together with a weld. Now, weld will permanently adhere these layers together. So when I send it to my machine, it will cut it all as one. If I didn't weld and I just attach these together, I want you to see, and I'm going to zoom in on this so you can really see. Let me just turn this to yellow so you can see those lines. If I were to send this to my machine to cut like this, what will happen is these cut lines between the flourish and the line itself would actually cut out. So we don't want that to happen. What we want to have happen is we want those cut lines to be removed and have that all cut together. So when I click weld, it removes all the cut lines and turns it into one piece, one layer on my layers panel. And then when I send it over, I no longer have those cut lines that would go down into the line. And then if you wanted to, again, you could always change the grateful to whatever you wanted to do. Like if this is a beautiful jar for a wedding, like if you wanted to do thoughts for the bride and groom, you could do that as well as you go along. But that's the project, and that's how you can adjust it to fit. Now I want to show you how we're going to send it over to cut, and then we'll actually go ahead and cut this out. And if you have questions, guys, do not hesitate to ask. That's the benefit of being in a live class, is that we get to answer your questions and you get to ask them like, how did you do that? Or could you go back and show me this? Happy to do that. Now this will be, my white will be cardstock. My black layer is the brushed vinyl. And I'm just going to move these apart a little bit. I have room here. So I'm just going to move these a smidgen so I can kind of spread those out. And then this last piece, I'm going to cut these out of craft chipboard, which is really fun. So you get to see, if you haven't played with some of these different mediums, you get to see how we use them. So the first one, I will go ahead, actually, I'll go ahead and do my the brushed vinyl first. So I select that layer and I'm going to choose my material. Now, if you're on a Explorer Air 2 and you have the dial, you just would put it to the middle vinyl. So that's like a medium pressure on the cut. So it says premium vinyl brushed. I'm going to use the default pressure and my fine point blade. And then I'm going to stop this and we'll go over and I'll change it to my camera. Now I'm going to freeze for a second, but I'm still here. It's just switching over to my overhead camera. Now, if you are chatting, if you're crafting along with me today, if you want to put a shout out in the chat and say, hey, I'm crafting with you today, Kesley, let me know. And I can make sure we're going at the same pace-ish. Okay, so this is the brushed vinyl. Now, I really love the look of the brushed vinyl because it has like a metallic look to it. And it's got like a texture on it. So it's really fun to work with. So we're just going to take this, and I only need about 3 inches in the height for my design. But I'm going to give myself a little extra, so I'll cut it to 4 inches. Now, when you're using Cricut's vinyl, one of my favorite things is that it does have the grid on the back of it. So you don't have to worry about, not if you don't have a paper trimmer, you can still get nice clean lines and cut it out with your scissors. Now I'm going to use my brayer, and I'm going to put this down because I don't want my vinyl to wiggle on my mat as it's cutting. I want it to be nice and adhered down. And I have an extra light I can turn on here because it looks a little dark. Okay, here we go. So let me go ahead and do that. All right, and that's going to come in here. Now, I have my jar here. And I put my supplies on the inside of my jar already. I'll cut this out for you. All right. Now, I did mention that I am using the brushed vinyl. So I'll be using strong grip. I'll be using this strong grip transfer tape. And if you're using just our everyday vinyl, you can use our standard grip transfer tape. It's really only when you're working with vinyl that has a texture to it that you need to use the strong grip. So if you're working with like a glitter vinyl, you would want to use a strong grip transfer tape. And that's because the texture on the vinyl, you really need the transfer tape to grip it and hold it. So we're just going to use the strong grip transfer tape. All right. Now, I'd like to say I'm grateful how easily this peels, but it always gives me a little bit of hesitation before I can get it off quickly. Sometimes if that happens, I'll grab my weeding tool and I will just pull on that little corner piece to get it started. A spot where I don't need to have it. I'll just grab that little corner piece and get it started. I guess today is not my day with my vinyl, guys. Sorry about that. I'm making a mess. Let me get a fresh piece. Maybe I just need to start fresh here. I'll only need a little bit on my jar. Now I have already washed my jar, so I use just Windex and a paper towel to give myself a clean surface to work with as I start when I'm going to place it down. I'll just do that. Oh. All right. Good question. Why, Dee's asking, why wouldn't you put the transfer tape on the vinyl before cutting so that it's easier to match up? So Dee, when you put your vinyl in your machine, you put it with the material side up, and it actually, the machine cuts into the vinyl. Let me show you how that works. So the machine will cut into the vinyl. And if you were to put your tape on, your transfer tape on top of that, then you would not, you wouldn't get the cuts on here. It would cut the design out of your transfer tape. So you cut it on your, on the transfer tape, and the blade goes right, sorry, not on the transfer tape. You cut it in your material, and the blade on your machine cuts right into the material. And then you use the transfer tape to pick up the design. So the transfer tape will allow me to easily, this design has some pieces. So if I were to try to manually pick it up and move each piece like a sticker, it would really create, I'd have a lot of lining up post cutting to do. So the transfer tape helps you keep all those little pieces together as you go. And I want to be careful with the brushed vinyl so that it doesn't tear or pull on these little pieces as I'm weeding it. So that's why I did my center pieces first, so I could really see where it needs to weed as I'm going along here. And make sure that little piece there stays down. So there's a little piece in the middle that comes up. You just want to make sure that the other thin piece, it's amazing to me how thin you can cut with your Cricut machine. And you really get super fine lines. See how tiny a wisp that is? Okay, so there's my design right there. And then I'm just going to take out those little center pieces from here. Here it comes. Okay, now I have already done the weeding on this, so just for the sake of time, I'm going to fast forward and grab one that's already been weeded. And because I'm still trying to get my tape here, I wonder if it's my humidity. Can you use transfer tape as your vinyl to use as a stencil? Oh, that's a good idea, Polly. Anita, what do you think? I would say yes, you could use that. Cricut does have a all right. Cricut does have a stencil material that you can use, but I don't see why you couldn't. That's a good
You
thought.
could use it as a stencil. You'd need to realize that the stick is not as adhesive as the stencil material itself. But with the grids, you don't want to use it as vinyl because the grids, there's no way to remove those. And those grids are there so that you can tell if it is straight.
Yes,
or
and
not.
I'm going to put those grids to use right now. So I'll show you what that's a great point, Anita. And you can't get rid of the grids. So you're saying, Anita, let me make sure I understand what you're saying, that the transfer tape stick isn't as much as the stencil material is.
Right. It's a different adhesive because it's got a different use. Whatever you put your vinyl onto, you don't want the adhesive tape sticking to it.
Right.
Otherwise, it could ruin whatever you're trying to apply it to. Okay. And so the adhesive for the stencil is specific for, like putting it on wood and having it stick good, but still remove.
Okay, got it. That's great. Good to know. Thank you.
But you can always experiment and try and see if it works.
Yeah, I love doing the experimentation. Now, when I pull off my carrier sheet from my vinyl, I do kind of pull it at a 45-degree angle, and I'll rock it back and forth if I need to. So if I'm having a hard time and it's getting stuck, I'll rock it back at a 45-degree angle. Now there is my thankful. And as you can see, I lined up the line on my grid with that line on the flourish there. And I'm going to save my transfer paper because you can reuse your vinyl. Now I'm going to plant this I'm going to place it a little bit lower on my glass because I'll have my little booklet with my tags tied to the top. So if I put it up here, it might get covered up. So I'm going to place it down here a little bit. And I want to make sure that I've got it in the middle. So I'm going to use the lines on my mat. The reflection of my light might interfere with that. And I'm going to fold this in the middle so I know where my middle line is. And then I'm going to place that line up with the glass underneath. And then I'll use my line to eyeball that I've got it straight. Now, before I press it down, I kind of give it a look and make sure I've got it right. Let's see. Right, that'll take it. There we go. That glare is affecting this, I think, so you can see it. So then you just use your finger and you rub it down like this. And that's a great suggestion. Polly says, I want to etch on glass. You can definitely use the stencil, the Cricut stencil material, and use that to etch on the glass and make a stencil. You could take this design and make a stencil with it and then etch it on the glass. That would be beautiful. Okay, so I'm just going to peel this off. I do it at about a 45-degree angle. Same kind of rule. And you just want to kind of keep your finger along the edge here so that it doesn't come up. Any of your little pieces don't come up. Now, if you were to use strong grip vinyl with regular vinyl, your vinyl would have a very hard time adhering. It would adhere more to your transfer tape than it would to the glass. So that's why you want to make sure you use the right type of strong grip vinyl, the right type of vinyl with the right material. Now, I am going to use a strong grip vinyl on my craft board. So, which I didn't test that out beforehand. We're going to see how that works out. But there's your glass. See how easy that was? Now let's do the chipboard and I'll show you how we cut that type of material out. It's really easy. We're going to go back into design space and I'm going to pick this layer here and my material, I'm going to choose, it's a craft board. So I just type in a keyword search for craft, or it's right here at the top, the artboard. So I'm in the artboard group, I'm going to choose that craft board. And then that just tells me the default settings, load my fine point blade, and it's ready to go. So for something like that, let me find my, okay. This is the foil sampler of craft board, and I've got this great copper material. So we're going to put that down and you'll see this cut using my fine point blade. And I'm just hoping I should, before I go on too far, I'm going to test it. Okay. I just took my strong grip. I wanted to make sure I wouldn't pull up the foil. So we're just going to, that's a good thing. All right. So that's going to go in and start to cut it. Now I've cut my thankful words when I did my brushed vinyl. And because I used the brushed vinyl, again, that's why I was worried about using the strong grip. So I'm just going to take my strong grip transfer tape and I'm going to put that on my word thankful while this is cutting out here. So I'm going to use those lines again and line up the word thankful using the line on the strong grip transfer tape. We'll do that for both of these. I thought with making a little booklet with the tags, you may want to do the thankful on both sides in case it gets flipped over. In my house, it would get flipped over. Okay, so there I've got thankful again. And I want to make sure that I have this stuck down onto the transfer tape. So I'm just going to use my brayer and push on the back of that. You can also use your little wedge. And I have my wedge here, but wouldn't you know it, I've tucked it somewhere. It'll come up. Okay, so I'm going to undo that. And then here is our chipboard. So look at how fun this is. Now, again, you always want to remove your material, remove kind of the mat from your material like that. So we just turn it over and we're going to pull that off. And then the last piece we're cutting are the little tags. And I'm just using a white cardstock for that. This is a medium weight cardstock. I think it's about a 65-pound cardstock. So it's not super heavy. It can be folded if somebody wants to fold it as they're writing their gratitude down. So kind of my idea with this is that this would be put in your front hall area or something like that in your house. If you have friends and family coming over for the holidays, you can have this out for people to write into. Okay, so I have my two little tags. Now they're going to line up like this and form my booklet. So I'll take my thankful word here, and I'll remove that from the strong grip vinyl. And we're just going to go walk that right off. Okay, and then I'm going to put that onto my tag here. I'm going to give this a minute to scoot out of the way. And we're just going to center that on the tag. Now I'm going to put it a little bit toward the bottom because I'll be using a ribbon here that might, interfere with it. So I'm just going to line that. Oops. I got bumped. Let me come over here. I'm just going to line this up here on the edge and put that there. Oh, Lena, yeah, we'll put a link to the chipboard for you. You should be able to get that at Michael's. It's craft board, and the one I'm using, and it is so fun, guys. I love this stuff. It's a foil sampler and it has all these different colors in it. You got black and gold and silver. It is going to be super fun for the holidays to make something out of that. Now I'm just going to take my transfer tape. Now, so you can see here, I'm using vinyl on cardstock, although this isn't really cardstock. I'm using just a little vinyl on the cardstock. So cute. All right, let's do the next one here. And so this is my back piece. It'll go on like that. So I want to make sure that I get my thankful going in the same direction. So I'm just going to turn it off over that way. And I'll line it up the same way. I don't know about you guys. Sometimes I will turn something the wrong way. And then I have to redo it. Okay, so there's my little thankful. And I'm going to bring it down here. And we'll put that right on there. And you know what? Do not worry about if it's a little bit higher on one than the other, or if it's not centered. I always kind of go with the mantra, crooked is crazy. And that kind of gives me a little bit of freedom to have my my things not always line up, which that freedom is great. Okay, so we're going to unload this mat. And again, I'm going to turn my mat over and peel my cardstock from my mat. Now, because of the paper, you really want to make sure you're doing this, and I'll show you why. We want our paper to lay flat at the end, so you just hold the paper down and peel your mat from the paper like this. So hold that paper down and peel it back like this. There we go. Okay, now this last one here, I'm going to show you what happens if you peel your paper from your mat. Your paper will curl. So see how that curled and all my other pieces stayed flat. So when you're taking cardstock off your mat, you always want to turn your mat over and peel the mat from the cardstock. I do that with everything. So like whether I'm working with cardstock or vinyl or chipboard or whatever material I'm working with, I'll always turn it over to get it so that it'll fit on everything. So that it doesn't, I'm sorry, not fit on everything, but so that it doesn't do that curl on me. Now, okay, I have a little ring. So I have quite a lot of these. So that would be two cuts on the white, and my tag booklet is a little bit bigger than my actual ring, and I've lost. Okay, so I have a little, I don't know what you call these rings, but they're like notebook rings without being in the notebook. And I'm just going to put one of the thankful tags on it, and then we'll line up the other ones and put those on it like this. Now I could put this one on, and by the time it goes out upstairs and everything, it'll be flat, but I'm not going to today. So we're just going to put both of these on either side. Thankful and thankful. Now, the reason I did this kind of ring is because on my jar, I have this is just a piece of fabric I had from my fabric bag, and I shredded it a little bit. I tore the edges so I got that rustic look. And then we're just gonna clip this out. like this, and just tie it right on here. And then you can add, so just tie it up. And you can add some jute to this if you want, or some other kind of twine. If you had some other twine rope to add, you could always add multiple layers, or get some flour and add like a little flower to it, anything you want to do. We're just going to push that on there. And if you wanted to, you could even use some Mod Podge if you wanted to make it stick a little bit more, like stiffen it, not stick it. You want to stiffen it. So there we go. There's a little thing. And then you can, if you give it a little snip and then tear it, you'll get that rough edge. So we'll just give it a little snip. That was too deep. And tear it and get that rough edge. Kind of gives you that farmy, look. All right. And then the last part, we'll just add this on. And then when people use up your tags, you can just re-add more tabs inside. So to do it, I would just have people tear that out like that. And then they could just write down what they're thankful for. And I'm thankful for my water buddies. And if you wanted to, even you could do the extra mile with your pen in your machine and write thankful for, or even give people prompts on each of the tags, right? Like, what are you thankful for at school? What are you thankful for with your family? And then they can just put that right in there. So let me come back here and I'll show you guys how that turned out. Oops. So you can even tie this up into here if you wanted to, but there is your thankful jar. Isn't that cute? And then add a pen to it if you wanted to, but that is super fun. Okay, so that's the first part of our gratitude. The second part of our gratitude is this garland. We're going to take this pom pom and I'm going to show you how we cut. And if you have questions about what we just did, please do drop them in. I know, it's a lot of information. And if you're new to Cricut or this is new materials, you may have some questions about it. So the next one we're going to do is the leaf garland project. And that link is in your design space. But I want to show you what I did. So let me share back in design space here. Now, when you finish a project, you can always save your project and share it out with the community. So if you wanted to find my thankful jar project or my other project, what you can do is on the home screen, on the Cricut home screen, you could type in Kesley, K-E-S-L-E-Y, and you hit enter. And then projects and images that I've shared are here. And if you go down to the bottom here, you'll see my name, Kesley Anderson, and you can click on that name. And you'll come to my space where I have all my projects saved. And then you can like the project and save the project to do later. And if you follow me up here, it'll say follow. You'll see other projects I have coming out. But let me show you how I did these leaves. I'm going to replace my thankful jar with my gratitude garland. So for this one, I used the Cricut felt sampler of summer colors. So cute. I used that to create my garland. And oops, let me see here. Sorry. I may not have saved I don't think I saved it right. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I want to show you how you can cut these out in multiples. So because we're going to add some words to these and make a garland with these designs. So what you're going to do is take each one, and I made each one 3 inches, and these are free leaves in the free images section of Cricut Access. But if you want to use any leaf, oh my goodness, guys, there are so many leaves. So if you just type in leaf, you will come up with so many different choices of leaves that you can use. If you want to use like something like this and use paper on your garland, and then you could foil the vein, using the foil tip. So many fun things you can do. I just kind of kept it basic for our project today. So what I'm going to do is I bring on a square and I set it to the size of the maximum size that I can cut. And this way I can maximize the position and the quantity of the leaves I can get on my cut file. So I'll just put these on and then you'll see me, I'll start rotating them around and getting them into position to maximize my space here. And I want to get as many to cut on this canvas as possible on my 11.5 inch by 11.5 inch space. So you just start kind of grabbing one and tucking it in here and there and seeing where it will fit. I use the quick edit icons on the side to rotate my, rotate my leaf around. So I can really kind of maximize that space. And if you wanted to, you could make them different sizes. So you can make some smaller, some bigger, and really, you know, again, it's all about maximizing your space, right? We want to get the most on the canvas that we can. And I don't think I can get one more fit in there, but if I were to finagle it out, I probably could. So I'm going to say this is a good placement for right now. And I'm just going to save all these. So I'm going to gather around them and I'm going to attach them together. What that does is it holds the position of those leaves, and we are going to when I send it over to my cutter. If I send it over to my cutter without attaching it, it changes all that positioning. So now it puts it on two different pieces of felt. And I really only want to use one piece because I'm being frugal. So I'm going to select all of those and I'm going to attach them together. Now I'm going to add some words that I can iron on to the felt. So I just make a text box and I write down things that I'm grateful for. So one of the things I'm grateful for is the love of my family. And then you can choose any font you want to choose. I really love these BFC fonts. They are super cute. I think I used Basically. It's a really fun font. Kind of gives it, nope, that wasn't it. Let's see. Now these, chicken kebab. That's right. I love the name, cracked me up. Chicken kebab. These fonts are not free fonts. However, they are part of Cricut Access. So if you have Cricut Access, they're free. Otherwise, you can purchase it a la carte. But you can, there are plenty of free fonts you can use, and you can use your system fonts as well. So I just size it to make sure it's going to fit into that leaf like that. And then what I do is I just do Control Copy, Control Paste, and I'll put down some other things I'm grateful for. So one thing I'm grateful for is my pickleball nights, because that is my date night with my husband. I don't have, if anybody else is a pickleball fan out there, but it is fun if you haven't tried it yet. It's a good family activity. Then I want to make sure that that will fit in my leaf. So there we go. So just keep filling it out and adding words that will work for your leaves. Now I've already cut mine out. So for what I'm doing, I'm going to group those together and hide those. But I'm going to save this project first. Okay. Now, once this project is saved, I'm ready to make it. So I'm going to send it over to my screen and I'm going to show you, we're going to cut on felt. So I just hit continue and I choose my material is felt. So you do search on materials. There we go. And I'm just using felt. Now I am using the Cricut felt. So, the Cricut felt is a little bit sturdier than just regular felt that you could purchase in the store. Let me share my video here. So I don't need to worry about using any type of bonding on my felt. I can put this right on the fabric grip mat. So I'll just put that down. And again, I'll use my brayer to make sure it stays in place. And look how well it matches my little ball here. So this Pom Pom Garland is the multi Pom Pom Garland from Michaels. It's in there. It was in their fall section. Okay. And I've got my mini press here. So I need to get my mini press started to heat up. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that started on a medium temperature while this is cutting. And then I'll use my heat guide to determine my setting for it. And mention I just found my wedge. There it is. So while that's cutting, I'm going to go to my heat guide on, I just do a Google search and I type in heat guide, Cricut, and heat guide pops right up. Let me share my screen here. Okay, so with my heat guide, I can choose my setting. So I'm going to use the Cricut mini press, and I'm using an everyday iron-on material, and my base material is felt. And then I say apply, and it tells me to do it low for 30 seconds with a preheat of 5 seconds. Okay, so good to know. Now, if you were using other felt, that was not the Cricut felt, that wasn't like this sturdy type of felt, you would want to add, if you're using your Explore and the fine point blade, you'd want to add some bonding material to the felt. And that could be freezer paper, it can be iron-on bonding material. But basically what that does is it gives you that little bit of extra stability so that your blade can easily cut through the material. So you want to make sure that you make it easy for your blade to get through there and things don't wobble around on your mat. I'm going to just move my cutting here. So I also have my easy pad here, my easy press pad, and that will help me with my cutting. Now I'm just going to unload my felt. And again, I'll turn it over now. I have been cutting quite a bit with this blade. So if it didn't cut out all the way, I would just use my scissors in the little spots and, and touch it up there. If you leave felt marks on your mat, just grab your, I always have a pack of wipes handy. So you can just grab your wipes and you're just going to wipe that off of your mat and set it aside to dry. And then once you're done, see how already it's like it takes those felt pieces off. I'll do that at the end of class. You might be a little nervous and be like, oh no, it's not going to stick. The stick is all still there. Don't worry. It will still stick for you once it dries off. So these cut through really nicely. And I
Kelsey,
yeah.
Another thing, if it seems not to cut all the way through, you can just push the C button and it will cut one more time in the exact same location. Just don't unload your mat.
That's the key. Don't unload your mat. So we just pop these out and it really did cut through nicely. Okay, so now that I have my leaves, and I did a bunch of them already along with some words. So I have, oh, this is, I pulled this out so you could see the felt sampler I used. It's the summer one, which you wouldn't think you would use for fall decor, but it's really, I love the colors in it are very, they're very rich. So here we go here. So I've got all these different ones to choose from. And I used my iron-on vinyl of color of choice was for clay. And I thought it would work really well on all these different colors. So I'm just going to take my felt and I'll give it a little 5-second heat. And that just quickly removes any moisture in the design. And then I can put my design on it, a little pickleball, and then I hold it there for 30 seconds. I try not to wiggle it around. It's very easy to wiggle it, but I try not to. And if you had like your bigger easy press, you could do a bunch of these at one time. You don't have to do, you don't have to take your time and do one of each, one at a time. So my next one is my father-in-law takes my kids for breakfast. He's so sweet. He's done this ever since they were little kids. He takes them for breakfast. So one of them will be Pop breakfast. And while that's going, now you do want to let it dry. I'm sorry, peel when cool. So just let it cool for a second and then you peel it off. If it doesn't stick, you can go back and add a little bit more pressure to it. Now, this is the fun part. So here you've got, so the garland is all strung together. All the work is already done for me. And I just need to kind of give myself a little space here. Let that one cool off. And I'm going to adhere this right in the center. And I'm just going to use a little dab of glue stick on that. Not glue stick, my glue gun, which has been heating up over here. So I'm just going to put a little dab of glue gun there. Glue, and then we're just going to let that stick and push that right there. And then we're just going to go down a couple more spots. Actually, I'm going to do a different shape here. Let me do one of the purple ones. I love this purple ones. I'm super grateful for fire pits. We've already started fire pits here in Northern Virginia. It's gotten a little chilly. So we can do the fire pits. And 30 seconds goes by really quickly. Let's see, and then I've got my hydrate crew. And the fun thing about this whole project is that every time I walk by it, I can do my stop, look, and go. So as I'm walking by and I see maybe the Pop breakfast, I'm going to stop and think about my father-in-law and how amazing he is with me and with my kids and how grateful I am. And I might even follow that up on my go with a quick text to him of gratitude and just say, thank you so much for whatever he's most recently done, or just thank you for being there for us. We're so grateful. So health, I'm very happy, very grateful for my health. That goes down. Oops. I put air down as well as one of my, as something I'm grateful for. And the reason I put air down was because I need air to breathe and to take my deep breath and to do that pause. So I find a lot of times when we're busy and we're going, I don't stop and really take that moment of air. And so I thought, okay, if I put that on my garland, will that be my stop reminder to just take a moment and pause and take a deep breath in and go with it. Now, if you don't have one of these pom-pom guys like I got, if you want to do it, have your kids help you do it, make it with a paper chain, or Anita was saying before the class started, she goes, oh, I thought those might be wood. You could do like wood balls with it. You could really do anything. I just love the leaves are very Northern Virginia for me, where we live. I'm very grateful that we get the change of seasons here. So let me just go ahead. I'll take these off. I think I need one more green one. So family's going to go on that. So, I think sometimes we kind of get so caught up in the big things. Oh, family, will family fit on there? Just barely. I don't want to put it on upside down. We get caught up and you forget that it's little things that you can be grateful for too. Family is kind of all encompassing, but you might be grateful that you have FaceTime and that keeps you in touch with family members that are far away. Or you might be grateful that you have mail, the mailman who delivers your mail and brings those greetings from family near and far. Okay, let that one cool for a second. So then I'm just going to come back here and we're going to go back and add my little dab. A little hot glue right there. Does anybody have any questions that we haven't gotten to yet? Don't be shy. There we go. So that's that. So I'd love to know if you guys don't mind, maybe dropping in the chat something that this class maybe has helped you remember to be grateful about, or if you have a go. Like, what is your go going to be at the end of the class? Have you thought, did you have it during the look, stop, go? Did you get an idea for something that you might act on and be able to help somebody or do something for yourself or for somebody else? Feel free to drop that in the chat, because I think as crafters and being creative, we have so much opportunity to go with that energy. All right, so this is coming, see how this is coming along, and then you just keep adding to it as you go along. All right, guys, thank you so much. Let me turn back over to my main camera. Thank you so much for joining us. If you, oh, thank you, Marie. I'm grateful to be here to teach you. And reach out to me after the class. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram. If you make one of these projects and you post it on your social media, please tag Cricut with Michaels. I would love to see what you do. You can tag me, Kesley.365. Follow along our profile, create your own profile in Design Space so we can see what you create. Thanks, guys, so much. I hope everyone has a great week. And this was a fun way to kick off and stop, look, go. Thanks, guys.